Hello, welcome to Benjamin Tree. Today we're going to be using multiple functions to take numbers and separate them out into different cells. So the example that we're going to use I've called RPG coins because if you've ever played a game like World of Warcraft, they don't just have $400. You don't have that kind of money. You have platinum coins, gold coins, silver coins, and copper coins. So in this, what we're going to do is we're going to take this cell here, C2, C1, and we're going to take this number and divide it up into copper coins, silver coins, gold coins, platinum coins. So that way, what should happen is our first two numbers here should come down into the copper coins, and that should be our copper coins. Once you get 100 copper coins, and you get 1 silver. So in theory, if we go from 99, we should have 99 copper coins. Then we go to 100, and we should have 1 silver and 0 copper. So we're going to write some different functions to pull those numbers out. So let's erase this number here, and right now we have 0. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with copper. We're going to use that if statement, which is a biggie here in Excel. So let's take a look. Let's start with if C1, okay, if C1 equals nothing, okay, we just have two quotations, then we want to produce a value of 0. Okay, I'm just going to close this down right now. So right now it's 0 because there's nothing here in C1, this cell here. So it has nothing to report, so it says, oh, we got 0 copper. Okay, but we pipe in 12 copper, it's coming out false. Okay, we don't have anything here to say what should we do with false, so the cell is just saying, hey, this is false right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a false value now, and that's going to be right. It says pull text from the right. Okay, what do we want to pull from the text? Which text do we want to pull from? We're going to pull from C1, and it's asking how many characters to pull. We're going to pull 2. Okay, and now let's close this down and see what happens. Now we have 12 copper coins. We have 12 money, so we have 12 copper coins. We have 3 money, we have 3 copper coins. If we have 0, we have 0 copper coins. If we have 450, we have 50 copper coins. So right now this copper coin section is doing the correct job. All right, let's go back and put this down to 99. So we're going to go to the silver. So the next thing it's going to ask for silver is if there's less than 3 characters in the money, or 3 digits in the money, then the silver should have a 0 there. So let's go ahead and start with that. If the length of C1, how long it is, okay, there's less than 3 characters there, or 3 numbers, is less than 3, we want to produce a value of 0. Okay, so right now we have nothing there. So because there's only 2 digits in there, we have 0, everything's 0. We have nothing, everything's 0. So if we have 100 coins now, we have 0 copper coins, but it's also false because we haven't put anything for false. Okay, so what happens if there's exactly 3 characters in the C1? So let's type in if the length of C1, okay, equals 3, and we want to produce the value of left. Okay, we're going to pull characters from the left side of C1. Okay, and we're only going to pull 1 character. Okay, so let's close everything down here. So right now it's saying, all right, we're going to pull 1 out of that. Okay, so if we have 101, or sorry, 103, it's only going to put 1. If we have 506, it's going to pull the 5 from there. All right, but the problem is if we go to 8008, it's going to say false. Okay, so now it says, all right, there's more than 3, so what are we going to do? Okay, so our function right now, our function in C4 doesn't know what to do, so it's just returning false. So let's make a final insert here. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, so if it's less than 3, it knows what to do. If it's equal to 3, it knows what to do. So everything else is greater than 3, so all we have to do is just to have one last output, which is what to do if everything doesn't equal to 3 or less than 3. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to pick a mid. Okay, so it's going to pull from the middle. All right, so the text that we're going to pull from is going to be C1. Okay, and the start numbers, we're going to choose where it's going to start from. So we're going to take the length of C1, okay, and we're going to subtract 3 from it. So that way it comes to the point right before the end of, it comes to the fourth, right at the beginning of the silver thing, the fourth digit there. So after that, we have the number of characters, and we want to pull out 2. Okay, so let's pull it in. So now it's pulling at 80. So if we go, let's say we go here, let's make it a little bit easier to see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's pulling out 2, 3. So if we look here, let's take a look. The length of C2 right now, I'm not C2, sorry, the length of C1 is 5, okay? And this right here is saying, so we're going to start here. We're going to have the mid, it's going to start at C1, but it's going to start at the length of C1 minus 3. Let's take a look here. If we make this minus 3, it says the starting point is 2. So when we go back to our mid section here, the starting point is 2. 1, 2, start at 2 and pull 2 of them out. 23. Okay, if we add another digit there, okay, it's pulling out 3, 4, which is correctly. Again, the length of C1 minus 3 is 3. So as the length keeps growing, the starting point keeps growing, but it's still going to pull out these 2 numbers every time. Okay, so this statement here, this length C1 minus 3, is always constantly updating as this money number becomes bigger and bigger. Okay, so now we have the basic formula down for gold, for silver that we can use for gold, but now we just kind of need to shift everything to 5. Okay, so let's go take a look. Let's bring this number down again, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have 12 silvers and 34 coppers. So in gold, we're going to start off with 0 if it's not long enough. So if the length of C1 is less than 5, because the gold starts at the 5th digit, then we're going to have an output of 0. Okay, so right now that's true. Let's add 5 to that, to number 5. Now we have 5 the length of 5 for our money, and now gold is returning false. Okay, so we need to fix this. Okay, so now we need to tell it, what do we do if it's equal to exactly 5? So if the length of C1 is equal to 5, then we want to have an output up left, okay, with the text of C1, and we're only going to pull out 1 character. Let's close this down, and that's what happens. Okay, it's only pulling out 1 character. So let's add a 6 here to have 6 digits. Now it's saying gold is false again because it's greater than 5 and it doesn't know what to do yet. So let's finish that and add the final false value. Oops. Here we go. Put a comma. What's the false value? Okay, so we want to have a mid. Okay, and we're going to pick the text C1, and the start number is going to be the length of C1 minus 5, and we're only going to pull out 2 characters. Okay, so when we do that here, So right now, the length of C1 is 6 minus 5 is 1. So when we say start with mid, start with the first character, bam, right here, 1. And then we're going to pull out 2, 1 and 2. Okay, so if we go to 7 here, now it's going to be pulling out 2 and 3. So it's following, it's doing the correct requirements that we were looking for. So we have 23 gold pieces, 45 silver pieces, and 67 copper pieces. All right, let's bring this down for the last one. All right, back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the platinum is just anything to the left of gold. So let's start off. If there's nothing there, if there's not 7 digits, we have 0 platinum. So let's start off with that. So if the length of C1 is less than 7, we're going to have an output of 0. Okay, so that's true so far. So we have 0. We're adding one more digit to our money, and again we're coming up to false. Okay, this is going to be kind of short like the copper because it's pulling all the numbers from the right. So platinum is only going to be pulling numbers from the left, so we only need one other variable. Okay, so if it's greater than 7, or if it's 7 or greater, then we're going to have left, okay, and it's going to be pulling this text, okay, and it is going to be pulling from the text C1, and the number of characters that we want to pull is going to be the length of C1 minus 6, because we already have those 6 taken out by being pulled out by gold, silver, and copper. Okay, so let's close this down. So right now it's only pulling the 1. Okay, so it's saying, all right, we're going to pull from C1. We're going to pull the length of C1, which is 7, minus 6. That means we're only going to pull 1 character out starting from the left. Let's add another number here, 8. So as you can see, it's working out correctly. Let's add another number, 9. It's working out correctly. We'll do one more for grins and giggles, 0. Okay, so now you can see that all of these digits have been pulled out correctly to kind of represent our grand total of money, but re-represented it into a copper, silver, gold, platinum format that you would see in lots of RPG games. Just one thing to note, I have taken all of these numbers, and normally these numbers would be to the left because these are no longer numerical values because you're using left, mid, and right. It's displaying text. So I pulled them all over to the right. So just keep in mind that right now, as it stands, these outputs are not numbers that you can use directly into other equations. But with a bit of editing, you can do that. So I hope you understand this. Now we're going to give you a bit of a challenge if you want to practice this type of operation. So we have a thing called Korean numbers. It looks a little bit big right now. Well, let's take a look at. So Western countries, we divide our numbers with commas at every third after every 3 digits. So we have 065, comma, then we have a 432, comma. But what happens in Korea, they separate their numbers after every 4 digits. And I've had some Korean friends in business school, and whenever they see Western numbers with commas after every 3 digits, they would have to stop and count them and readjust everything into their thinking to have 4 commas. But when my Korean friends can see these numbers spelled out with 4 commas after every 4, then they can count these numbers much more quickly. So what you should try to do is to try to use some of the functions that we used before in the previous example and try to pull these numbers out so that there's 4 digits. Okay, so these numbers here, if we have this giant number inputted here, then these blanks here should look like these blanks. Okay, so 4 digits, 4 digits, 4 digits, 4 digits. While you're building this, make sure you're editing this number and troubleshooting and make sure that the numbers come out correctly as you're building it, because you could write code that works perfectly for this, but if I put a number 6 into it, it might come out with a lot of false answers. And when you finish, or if you're getting really, it's a little bit of a challenge, if you're having little problems, you can come down here to the answer key and try to figure out what's going on. Well, thank you for using Benjamin Tree today. We hope that you were able to learn a lot. And if you have any questions, please comment. Have a great one. Bye-bye.